This season and this episode brought to you by Nicholson Realty 2.0. Buying or selling, commercial or residential. Nicholson Realty 2.0 is a realtor for you. Welcome to Garage Talk. As always, I'm Conrad. Let's go.
I'm Ted. It's time to rock and roll. Special guest tonight, guys.
Oh, yeah. Very special.
Blast from the past.
Yeah.
Dr. Adrian Richie.
Dr. Adrian Richie. That's right. I knew him as coach.
Me too.
He was my English teacher.
That's right.
Probably one of the reasons I am such a good speller.
I doubt that now. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty good.
I don't think it was because of me, because I'm the worst.
Yeah. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on. I look forward to chat with you and see what kind of things we can bring up from the past and even some things we got going on today.
Yeah, I sadly the last time I did see you was at a funeral. My close friend and best friend from middle school, his brother passed away, Mike Rose, and I seen you.
I love Mike with all my heart.
Oh, I know, man. Some people that Mike was. If Mike was your friend, you never had to look over your back ever again.
Well, yeah, you could all feel pretty secure in that. It was I enjoyed coaching the guy. I mean, he was a blast. I had him just for that 1 year, but what a great year that ended up being when he showed up and Liddick brought him to me and said, "Hey, this guy's going to play this year." And I'm like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, wherever he went, he was a bull in a china shop.
Oh my goodness! Well, he had one job that year, and I've bragged about this forever to other teams that I've coached and places I've been. I said that team that year, I had a player by the name of Mike Rose who moved in that made Jamie Liddick a rebounding animal, because Rose's only job on that defensive board was you go get the biggest, ugliest guy they've got and get him out of Jamie's way.
That's right.
He accepted that job, man, and he went and got him. Yeah, and you got to have guys like that.
Yeah,
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Oh, yeah. Coach, I wanted to say everything that you do now, but you're a life coach now, as well as a associate professor and principal, past I mean, you've always been in some kind of education area.
Right.
What got you into life coaching?
Well, life coaching is really just an extension of everything that we do in education, I believe, anyway. I think that I always had a counseling license. If you remember, I was a counselor maybe my last year I was at Mississauga. And so I always had a counseling license. I'd done it for a couple of years in Texas before I came into Indiana, actually. And then got started with all the coaching in Indiana full time. And then finally got back into the counseling role and then jumped out of that into the principal's role whenever I left coaching. But yeah, always enjoyed just working with students, working with kids. Right now I'm at Crown Point High School in a role that's, I wish I would have thought about it. 23 years as a principal, I never thought of anything like this. But they hired me as basically a life coach to work with young people on making decisions on getting to college or going into the world of work or whatever it is they want to do. And just talk to them also about, how's life? How's things in general? How's your classes besides your classes? How's things going? And I do hear some interesting stories every day. But then I run out of there and I go to Indiana University Northwest in Gary. I've been doing this now for 7 years, both places. And I'll run out and I'll teach a class or two on the campus there in Gary, and then run back into Crown Point High School and meet with more kids and parents. So yeah, it keeps me active. And then to have the grandkids all playing ball too right now is just a blast. Just loving it.
So you really enjoy seeing your grandkids out there doing exactly what you love to do.
Exactly. They didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Hey, I want to share a story with you. And I don't know if you remember. So I only played basketball my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was your first year as varsity coach. And back then, the freshmen had to come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We were low on the totem pole, so we had to get up early and practice, shower, and
Yeah.
go to class. Um, you had come into our practice. Don Daly was our head basketball
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
I love that guy. Still to this day, he's probably one of the, you know, people I could say that he's the reason why, I've
Yeah,
done some of the things I've done in my
yeah.
life. But you had came into practice and uh, we were lined up on the baseline and you were talking to us, and well, you were talking more to Ryan Simpkins than you were to us. But I started snickering.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And you lit into me and you had me run laps. You said, don't stop till I come back. You never came back, coach.
That's probably a true story.
It is. I would still be running.
You ran more than Forrest Gump, didn't you, Conrad?
Oh, man, I remember throwing up. I'd never snickered again.
I tell you, I do love hearing all the backstories like that whenever I talk to a lot of the guys. And the last time I saw a handful of guys were at the regional ball game. I think Ballworks kid was playing, and Swanner's kid was playing. Had a pretty good ball club there. And then it ran into Simpkins and Howell and a couple guys. And Skeens likes to tell the story about when I got on him for shooting a 3-pointer one practice. And I told him, I can kick more in from there than you can make. And he just laughed. So I drop kicked it and kicked it in. Walked away.
Yeah. I remember that story.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I was the luckiest guy in the world. It went in. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But you need some congratulations also, Coach. One of your former players, Braden Bushman, just got named the Silver Anniversary Team.
Oh, no doubt, man. Braden, he was so tough. What another kid. That was another just tough-minded, tough-nosed kid. You know what? The guy never misses a Christmas card to me. I don't think I've ever not gotten a Christmas card from that kid. I mean,
wow,
he keeps me a call. He was here just a couple of weeks ago, actually, spent a day with Nathan. With Nate, yeah. I hung out with Nate for a day. He was in the area and stopped by. And I missed him. I was teaching classes at IU.
Right.
So I to see him. He and Nate got to have a good afternoon, I guess. So that's pretty cool. Well, congratulations to him. I'll shout that out to him as soon as I get off here and get to the phone.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks for letting me know that. That's awesome. Very deserving.
You know, when I look back.
Yep. And he's got a daughter that's really tough too.
Oh yeah. She's
that's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah. Well, good genes there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely. When I look back on those things, it made me appreciate working hard to get what you want. And I think it's just my opinion, probably other people agree. I think we've lost some of that with this generation.
Yeah. I mean, the COVID years really hurt us. I mean, that's kind of a sad commentary on the classes that I teach at IUN, but I teach a freshman class for IUN calls it threshold 100 U something or other, some name. I call it Introduction to College. And it's students who come out of high school who didn't do very well on the SAT. Maybe they had poor GPAs, but IU will take your money and give you a chance. So you understand what's going on here, right? First day, you know what's going on here, right? IU is to take your money and let you give this a try. I said, but I'm going to tell you right up front, this may not be for you.
Right.
I said, I know so many young people that just skip right over this thing called college, don't waste any money on it. They go get some trade or some kind of training and some kind of industry somewhere, and they make a great life.
Right.
I said, so they find out pretty quickly. And I said, but do not tell any of the administration I told you this. This is between me and all of you. That's how I start every class, every semester with that group. It's just the truth. It's just what it is. I'm not going to tell you to spend all this money in here, and then you get out of here and you're looking at a big bill in 4 years, and you're going, now what am I going to do with this psychology degree? I don't know. What am I going to do with this? I don't know. So, honestly, and you can kind of pass this on, a lot of people probably agree, some might not, but my experience in this is if you're going to spend 4 years in a college setting like that, education or nursing. Because when you walk out of those two professions in 4 years, you've got a job. They're
Yeah.
looking for nurses all the time everywhere. They're looking for teachers all the time everywhere. But if you walk out here and like, hey, it's great. I had fun. I got a psychology degree. I'm like, now what are you going to do? Hey, you've got to go back to school for 2 more years to get a counseling license or something. So no, if you want to get out in 4 years, have something to walk into a job for. Don't go into it. Have a good time, and then 4 years stand around going, now what am I going to do with all this big bill I got to figure out how to pay? And college has gotten ridiculously expensive. I mean, that's a whole nother knock on education, period. It's just way, way, way too expensive. They got to figure something out with this. And I'm hoping we're going to take a better look at how it's going to be handled here in the next couple of years. But yeah, the fact of the matter is that, I see so many of these students that tell me these great plans they have and the things that they want to do. And I'm like, you better be sure what you're going to spend your money on, because it may not be worth all that money you're putting into that. And you're going to take these college loans. They used to be 2% when I was a kid. Now they're at 6, 7, 8%.
Yep.
But you can't pay it off. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Sure is.
What was it? What was a $20,000 a year, deal over here at Anderson University or something like that is now a $60,000 a year deal.
Uh-huh.
And some are even more than that. So
Yep.
you just can't do it, and because you can't ever pay that back. It's impossible to pay. And they're young enough, they don't understand that. They just get handed another one of these applications. Say, oh yeah, just fill this out. It's all paid for this semester again. Yeah, wait till that 4 years ends and look at it again.
Exactly.
So, a lot of time teaching that kind of concept. Matter of fact, I just did last week. That was my whole. We have 1 more week left of the semester here, and I always try to finish up the last couple of weeks at IU with that very topic. Don't get caught up in this, taking out all these loans and getting totally wiped out before you ever get out of school. And, honestly, this group of kids, I started with 22 this semester there, and this is about the average, and I'm down to 17 to finish this semester, and that's about right. Because usually somewhere in that semester, those 18 weeks, you got a handful of them that go, I'm kind of tired of this already. I'm gonna go see what Dr. Richie said. I'm gonna go see if there's something else I can be doing with my time more than this. And that's okay. That's okay. I'd rather they find out now.
Yep, that's true.
Yep.
You better find out before it's too late.
Find out before it's too late.
Coach, some of these skilled trades, they make a lot of money. They make a decent living.
Oh, yes, they do.
Those electricians.
And that's the point. My brother Terry, I don't know if you guys ever met my brother Terry or not, but he kind of hung around. He's the only one that did not finish the college world. The other three of us, me and Keith's the superintendent down in Eastern Green over in Kokomo area. Mm-hmm. And did Keith coach with me at Mississippi or not? No, he didn't. He coached with me at Union and Shenandoah both. But then he went on and started coaching for himself. But Keith has had a great career in education. He's now a superintendent, has been for about 10 years after coaching for years and years and years, and a principal for a number of years, and has always got to stay in the same place there, which is nice. But he has done very well. He's got a doctorate also. But brother Terry is the one that's 1 year, almost to the day, younger than me. He was the head guy at Anderson University maintenance. I mean, he followed my dad's footsteps, construction, carpentry, a little bit of everything that goes with it, from plumbing to electrical to everything. There's nothing you couldn't hand him that he couldn't figure out and do. He made a lot more than I ever made because he took that not just from that position, 40 years of that, retired from that. He had 5 girls and they all went to college for free. I mean, you can't beat that.
Exactly.
Then whenever somebody come through and say, hey, I'd like to have a sunroom added onto my house. Well, we know a guy named Terry Richie over here. Give him a call. My goodness. Yeah. So I tell the kids that story all the time. I mean, I've had a blast. I've had fun. But if you really want to make some money, there's a better way to make money than what we're doing here.
Yep.
Education is really not it.
Yeah.
You're speaking of your siblings, but let's jump into your kids real quick.
Oh,
Tell everybody what Nate's doing right now. What's Nate doing? How many kids does he have?
Nate has 3 kids. He's got a girl that's a freshman at Crown Point right now, playing on their basketball team. Freshman girl, varsity as a freshman. I think I sent you an article that the the Northwest Times or Northwest somebody, one of the Chicago area, did an article on her. Very, very nice ball player. She's going to be good. Going to be good. And then he's got a sixth grade girl who's going to be a pretty good ball player too. We spent all day Saturday in the gym with her in a couple of games. He coaches all of them. And then he has a little guy that did the fourth grade stuff today in Illinois, 3 games in Illinois. But Nate's doing very well. He coached for a while and was working. He worked with Matt Plank. You remember Matt?
Yeah.
Nate got out of Drake. He played at Drake University. Yep. He started out at Western for a year, and then his coach was fired, and he took off and went over to Drake and played for Dr. Tom Davis. Remember Dr. Davis from Iowa?
Oh, yeah, Iowa.
Yep. Nate ended up just having a blast. I mean, what a perfect fit that was.
Man.
So he got to play for Dr. Tom, and that's so many stories. So he got to play with for Dr. Tom. But then he got out of that with a radio and TV broadcasting degree.
Really?
And went to work at a little place in Chicago to start, and they were going to pay him like peanuts. And then Plank said, "You know what? We make a lot more money doing this medical device sales or whatever it was, something the medical field sells." And so he jumped on with Matt and did that for a number of years, and then decided to start he owns a company right now called Bear Complex, which is a CrossFit gear company. Everything that you would need to do all this crazy CrossFit people workouts. These people are crazy. They're crazy. But he and my youngest son, Austin, they run that business. Okay. So, that's what Nate's doing now. And it keeps him busy besides just doing all the coaching his own kids. Yeah. And then Aaron's my middle son. You might remember Aaron.
Yep.
He was a young one back then at that time, but he ran around with one of the young Steens boys and some of those guys. Had a good group of kids there in that class too. They had a lot of fun. But Aaron, Nate ended up going to Lake Central and playing basketball first of all before, and had a good career at Lake Central. Ended up those 3 years at LC before going on to college. But then Aaron, I took the principal job. I left the assistant principal job at Lake Central and took the principal's job in Belmont over in Decatur, not far from Gas City there.
Yep.
And I was there for 8 years and principal there. And Aaron played basketball for a very, very, very good program there that they had with Sean Busick as the head coach there, and had a great career. Then he went on to Central Michigan, where he played a couple years, and another situation, his coach is fired. So he ends up transferring to IPFW in Fort Wayne and having a couple of good years under Dane Fife, who had taken the job there. So he got to play for Dane, and Dane was a wild man, but they got along okay. So Aaron now does these Jostens rings. Remember all these rings that you get and such. So he hooked up with a guy when he got out of college that was needing somebody to help him with the territory that they have over that northeast side of the state, Fort Wayne and all that area. He pops in Mississippi every now and then, sees a couple guys. But he now has that whole territory. That's his territory now. So he's doing very, very well. And he's got 2 little girls.
Okay.
And, I just love those little, it just melts your heart, guys. I don't know if you guys have any little granddaughters that are any grandsons or anything.
Yes. Yep.
But just melts your heart when they look at you and call you Papa. You're just like, oh my God.
Sure does.
Oh my God.
I don't know anything about that yet.
You don't know that yet, Conrad?
No.
I've got plenty of grandkids. He still got a little one at home.
Yeah. At 47, I decided, well, I didn't decide. We thought she had COVID. She was pregnant. And we were dropping one off in college and thought that was the end of that. The happy accident,
Oh yeah. No, I'll be happy. I tell you what, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And then, like I said, the youngest one, Austin, he had a great career at Western Michigan. I mean, he had an amazing career when the coach brought him in, and we almost didn't do that because Austin had, he was an all-star, he did an all-star, state's leading scorer, all that stuff coming out.
Yep.
And can just flat out shoot the ball. Nate was a heck of a shooter. Aaron was a great shooter. Austin was just a phenomenal scorer and shooter. But when he came out, we just kind of entertained the invite to come up to Western Michigan, because after what Nate went through there with his coach getting fired and basically getting run off and having to transfer to Drake, which ended up being a great thing for him. But it was like, yeah, whatever. But Nate said, this assistant coach here that's now the head coach, he was Nate's assistant there at Western. He said, he's really a good guy. I think we owe it to him just to go up and say, okay, show us what you got. Tell us about the program. Uh, and we did. We took Nate's advice on that. And Nate had some tough questions for him, and he sold us on it. And he said, look, I'm not bringing him in here just to make him another guy, sit him on the bench. That I'm bringing him in here to lead the team. And it
Wow.
was funny, guys, because on his senior banquet night, it's something I love to brag about because it was true. On the night that they got all the seniors and gave them all the awards for whatever and whatever. And when he got to Austin's name, he said, and this young man right here, we brought him in here. We made him a promise that he would play. He said, and he's leaving here as we've been playing basketball for 100 years now at Western Michigan. He's leaving here as number 3 on the all-time minutes played list.
Wow. That's awesome.
I didn't realize that, but I'm like, he didn't come off the floor a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Made a couple good tournament runs, and so he had a lot of fun. So we've had, and he's got a little baby girl that's 1 year old now, and so right now we got all these girls and one boy.
and you and your wife are blessed with 3 boys.
That's right. I know. How awesome was that? Yeah, how awesome was
That's,
that? And and the thing is, guys, brag another second here because I've never really looked this up, but I'd like to know how many coaches, former coaches or dads or whatever, had 3 boys and all 3 played Division I basketball. I mean, I know the Zellers, but they're 7 foot tall. I know the Plumleys, they're 7 foot tall. Then I'm trying to think who else was there that had 3, and they all played that level basketball. I don't know. I need to. There's probably some website, maybe Kyle down at the Indianapolis Star could tell me, or somebody. I about that today, and I thought, well, who else? How many were there? Couldn't have been a whole lot, I wouldn't think. I don't know. Those are the only 2 I can think of off the top of my head, because I know the Alfreds didn't.
No.
And I know there was a few of those guys, and I know the Drews. I know there's a couple of those guys, and they're all coaching college basketball and such now. But I don't think they had 3 that did that, though. There's only a couple that I can think of, and they're 7 foot tall. Although Aaron got 6'7", Aaron got to be a big boy. And first time Nate came back from Drake and looked at Aaron and went, "My God, what's this all about?"
Oh. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to get in and do our research on that, because now
I'm curious now. Yeah, I'm curious. I've
Coach,
never
well,
it up.
Yeah, because you got the Boozer boys, but there's only 2 of them.
Right. That's what I mean. I was thinking about it. I can't think of too many other 3s that came in that.
Now I'm trying to see what I can find right now. So there were 3 siblings, females. Let's see.
Sisters.
Truong is their last name.
What is it?
Truong. Truong.
Was that Logansport girls? Where are they from?
I'm trying to see. It's not saying where they went to high school, but.
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about our conversation. I thought, they might know that answer. I throw it out there.
I'll find it. Believe me, find it.
He'll stay on it till.
Good. That'd be a good one just to know. Just to have it.
Now, there's like you said, it's very rare to have 3.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of them where there's brother and sister or 2 brothers, but the site I'm on right now is not showing 3. So
since you started in education, how much has it changed from then to now?
And that's a good question, because I've gotten that question a few times from parents, because parents will ask me that same thing about in athletics, like working with these young people here with basketball and such right now, but then just working with the parents that I see in the high school and such, and people. As a matter of fact, I actually gave a little speech on this a couple of years ago, where I told the crowd that in the 40 years that I'd been involved in this business, it wasn't the kids that changed; it was the parents. It really was. The kids still want the same things. They want direction. They want instruction. They want someone to actually show them a little bit of care and love and point them in the right direction, and keep them on task, keep them in the right lane. But whenever we used to be able, when I started this, man, I started as an assistant football coach in Houston, Texas. I got to whack kids as an assistant football coach. I would just say, hey, son, nope, you grab that wall right there, buddy. And her teacher tells me that you were not whacking right. And you can just take it to whack, whack, no questions asked. You weren't getting a phone call from a parent or anything. But then it all changed. It all got now to where you just looked at them cross-eyed. They go home and tell mom, and mom's in the school that next day. What are you doing talking to my boy like that?
And it's so on fun. Social media.
And it is. It is. Well, and again, I don't think COVID helped a lot. I mean, it really hurt her these last 5 years or so. Those students I was talking about that now come to me in that freshman class I was talking about, where I was going with that was, and I don't want to talk out of school here, but so many of these kids, I know this was an election year. I wish I did teach political science still, but this is not that class. I was kind of reminded of that. But, this is an election year. You got 18 years old. There's 22 of you in here. I want to know that you know what is at stake here. I don't care who you vote for. Tell me, what are the three branches of government? I had 22 kids look at each other. What are you talking about?
Like, they don't know.
Yeah. Why am I not shocked? I'm not shocked.
No. And again, I throw this back toward the years that they spent just in confusion. I mean, for years in school, they really were just confused. They're wearing masks 6 feet apart, and none of this stuff made any sense at all. They're out of school half the year. So they lost a lot. We really lost maybe a half a generation of kids with that mess. And so I'm seeing it at the college level, and I think they'll bounce back eventually, but I think it's going to take a little while. But I think that the parents were the biggest difference I'd seen over the 40-year period, though.
Yep.
Because they were the ones then that I don't know, maybe I swatted them too hard when they were in school. I don't know. But whenever they were not going to swat their kids, that's just the way it went. The thing about Indiana, that's still law in Indiana. You can still actually battle, but no one's going to. No one's going to do that.
Oh, no.
Not worth the risk.
I think, social media, when it was created, was meant for people to get in touch with each other. Now it's become a sounding board for any opinion you have.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to be so careful. Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to talk out of school here about anybody, but so you have to be so careful, because now it's just an easy way to just get attacked and slandered and cancel culture, just absolutely just canceled. And, you have to be so careful today. And I don't know. I'm pretty bold and brave with what I put on my Facebook page and such. You guys see it sometimes. I'm just to the point where, guys, I'm 67 years old. I've been doing this now for a while. Yeah. I got to tell the kids the truth. To tell people what I think is the truth anyway.
Are you a little bit of conspiracy theorist? Now, I always like to say that I'm not, but at heart, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I changed it to conspiracy realist.
Yeah.
My 20 conspiracies I've been confused of have all come true. So.
Okay. I want to borrow that if you don't mind.
Yes.
I'll make sure you get the recognition.
And I'm willing to debate anybody on any of them. We'll go down those rabbit holes, and we'll take a good healthy look. I have a couple of people that I do debate quite often in the what's it called, the messenger, the dark part. We don't do it publicly on here, but we sure mess with one an awful lot. I'd like to keep them honest.
No, we have to. That's the same way. I'm a big conspiracy theorist. So.
This is a rule I've made for myself. I've matured a lot in my age. Because I can't tell the tone of the message, I usually don't respond.
Right.
I can't tell if you're being cynical, if you're being condescending, if you're shouting at me, which usually they put in all caps. How dare you all capitalize to me? Right. But so my question to you is, what do you think about this CEO being assassinated?
United Healthcare?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And what amazes me, what I'm really surprised about is some of the media people acting like they're surprised. It's the first time they've ever heard that anybody's upset with the healthcare industry. What are you talking? How can you even act surprised with that? Yes, this has been a crime for years and years. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't be. I should say I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there wasn't more of this, just outright. I don't know yet who's behind that. Did this guy act on something that was affected he or his family or a friend or something, and just came out and did that? I can't tell if it's a guy or a girl from the pictures they're showing me. To be honest with you, and if
that one where they're smiling looks like a female to me.
Yeah, well, okay, I have a friend who's in the nursing area in the medical field, a friend, and his thought was maybe they were going through a transition. They got denied for surgery. Now, I did some digging. They were being investigated for stock trading.
They were. Yep.
And I'm wondering if because there's 3 executives that they were under investigation. Yep. I'm wondering if they wanted to make it look like that.
Well, you know what? This could go any way, sideways, any sideways. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Because there's and again, a conspiracy realist. I mean, you could just about throw anything out there and it's going to come true because somebody is behind this. And there are so many people denied so many, and they were the worst. I mean, this CEO, his group, his company, if you saw the numbers, their system denied more than all the others combined. So what in the world's going on there? And they took in, I don't remember it was astronomical billions of dollars last year.
Billions.
And this guy got paid, I don't know how many millions he got. I think it's like 10 million a month he was raking in.
Yeah.
Would make a few people a little angry if you were transitioning and you got denied in the middle of your transition.
Right.
Crazy. I mean, who knows? But
and that's the thing. Some of these people, it's not some, it's a lot, because a lot of what me and Ted do, we've got to be on social media quite a bit to stay on topics. And when something tragic happens, usually a lot of people are like, bless their family.
Mm-hmm.
You're not seeing that with this guy. You're seeing
and it makes you wonder, Connor, I think you got a good point there with your friend in the healthcare. Might be right on. I didn't even think about that, but it might be right on the money because for some reason they're not finding this character. And, the last thing they want to do is come out with a character that may be transitioning because that's one of the things.
You remember that movie, Al Pacino, Dog Day Afternoon? Is that what it was? When he robbed the bank?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great movie. Kind of along the same line.
Yeah.
Same line.
What's it called? Reality portraying.
Oh, right.
Art. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Does art. What's the word we're looking for there? Does art influence life, or does life influence art? I mean, which way is it going? Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know. That's a good point to bring up there too. Whenever you talk about conspiracies, because I believe that they show us things on TV, in movies, and then all at once it's a real life deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, when you're thinking, wait a minute, I saw this movie. I saw this. This is it. They told us this a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that bothers me that hadn't come true yet was I grew up watching the Jetsons. I figured we'd be in flying cars by now.
Right. I thought for sure we were going to have that. Mm-hmm.
Hey, but I did find a partial answer, Coach. Right now, there are 3 brothers in the NBA: Justin Holiday, Drew Holiday, and Aaron Holiday.
Yep, I forgot about those boys. Yep.
So,
so I don't know if you remember this movie, Contagion.
Yes, that was
and then we had COVID.
Yep.
Yeah. I did put something I don't know if I can pull my Facebook up here or not, but if you look at my, was it in stories? Stories disappear though. I think it was in stories, so it may have disappeared. I put something up there where it had all the movies listed in chronological timeline, and
Yeah.
arrow pointing at 2024 and say you are here. But these movies go all the way down, like the 2150 or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and
Yep.
interesting to see because those movies that are happening right around now in this timeline, wait, that is exactly what we're going through, and they told us this, how long ago?
That's
But yeah,
right. There's no doubt about it. It's
this is where you are now. so, so we
we
still got a lot to go through.
we
Yeah.
don't know everything the government controls.
No, no,
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
no.
Healthcare, Hollywood.
Big Brother's watching this Zoom right now.
You better believe it. That's why I said you got to be a little careful. I got
Absolutely.
Hey, Coach, I heard some of the stories back in the day, when you were over here.
Yeah.
Uh, throw out some names Conrad might not recognize from your days at the University of Houston.
Oh yeah. Oh my.
Actually, I do remember these stories.
That's here.
I had some great stories from there. I was
Yeah.
very, very lucky. I mean, how fortunate was that?
Yeah.
My high school basketball coach had just died. Actually, I don't know if we ever told you that story or not. And I was at Anderson College at that time and getting ready to start my student teaching. And 3 days before my final semester, he died of a heart attack coaching a basketball game at Lapel. And at that point, I was done. I wanted nothing to do with basketball. I wanted nothing to do with education. I'd never even been convinced it is what I wanted to do anyway with my life, but I'd had a pretty good college career up to that point. And coach had taken me under his wing. Uh, he'd been pretty instrumental, I should say, in getting us from North Judson, Indiana, down to Anderson, Indiana for my senior year. Had a pretty good year. We went undefeated, and got beat by the state champion Marion. Still can't say about the name, but I love Jack and Dave both. They've been great friends of mine for years. And but Jack was a big help in a lot of areas with me when I started coaching and such too. He always kind of took care of me, especially after Bob Fuller died. But so Fuller died, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Ended up just packing up and heading to Houston, Texas, and got down there. And by accident, I was working for AMC Movie Theaters, and was going to a meeting one day downtown Houston and saw a big sign that said University of Houston. I thought, oh, wow, I got time. I'll stop in there and see what's this place is like. I've seen it on TV and come across the Hallfines Pavilion, the big basketball arena. I was walking around down there, and a lady stopped me and asked me if she could help me. And I said, I'm from Indiana. I just wanted to see these pictures on these walls. This is amazing. This is awesome. And that's when she said, well, you want to talk to Coach Lewis? And I'm like, he would talk to me. She said he talks to everybody. So it wasn't that special. But I had a good conversation with him, and he convinced me that I needed to be back in basketball. And that, I never forget the line that he said, though, guys. When he said, because I told him a story. I told him, how I'd done this, and the coach that I just loved just died 3 days before I started my, career. And he looked at me and he said, you're right. He said, basketball doesn't need you. And I thought, well, damn. He goes, but you need basketball.
Yeah.
And he was exactly right. It's been a great, great ride for me ever since. And so he made sure that I was a part of that program and got to, I probably wrote more papers and I probably did more tutoring than anything else for these guys. But it was a great hookup and getting to play ball with those guys every day. And, just watch Drexler jump right over my head anytime he felt like it. Elijah
Glide the glide.
And they were all Phi Slamma Jamma. Just
amazing. Man.
Amazing time. And Clyde and Akeem are still, they're doing well. They're doing really well. Clyde is still the voice of the Rockets there, so you still hear him on there. And Akeem's just Akeem. But a good group of boys. We've lost a couple of them. Over the, but it was a good group of boys. Of course, Coach Lewis is gone, and most all those coaches are now gone. So, but what a fun time! I mean, shoot, got me started, and then I hooked up with Del Harris. I don't know if you remember Del Harris.
Yep.
Coach forever there. He was the Rockets coach, uh, and he was fired. He went 1 year with Moses Malone. Was it 80 or 81 or something like that? Where they only lost 22 games or 23 games, and Moses left for Philadelphia, and they only won 22 games the next year, and they fired him.
Yeah.
but he went on. He still went on and coached because he said, "Hey, look, he said this is just the revolving door of jobs." Because the
Yeah.
next thing I knew, he was working for the Milwaukee Bucks as their chief talent scout of the Southwest United States, and he brought me into his little loop. I told you guys some of that story. Did that with him for a couple of years then,
Wow.
and always kind of took care of me. But one thing that he regretted doing was not being around. He had three boys also. Was not been around his boys, and he had one left that was a sophomore at Cypress Creek High School in Houston, Texas, Northwest Houston. And so whenever the position opened up with the Bucks for him to become Don Nelson's assistant, he took that, which was moving me up to the chief of the Southwest scouting and player development stuff for them. But he said, you know what I'd really like? He said, and if you would do this for me, he said, I'll take care of you the rest of your life. And he said, my son's a sophomore at Cypress Creek High School. He said, I can help you get that job and get you started in teaching and coaching, and you make sure my boy gets through school, my final son. I mean, there's a lot more to that story than that, but that's basically what it was. So that's how I got started teaching and education, and how I began left that industry. Although I look back on it now and think, man, I could have made a whole lot of money if I'd have stayed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dell made great money. He coached the Lakers there for a number of years, successful with Shaq and all those guys. And I mean, he had a great career in the NBA. But he made a lot of money. But he never really saw his kids. Never saw them play ball, high school or college. Just never got to see it. And he said, I'd recommend that you stay around your boys, hang around your kids. Yeah, so that's how I ended up doing what I did.
Yeah, because I mean, it sounds like you've had a great full life.
It has been a wonderful
lot of experiences.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful life. I've had so many opportunities to do some things that I hate to say didn't deserve. Maybe I did. I don't know. But I've gotten to do some things, meet some interesting people, travel the world. My goodness, I've gotten to do things going around the world with this thing called education and basketballs. I remember Coach Reese, Horace Reese, was the girls' coach at that time. And we took that group for 10 days to Australia. I mean, how fun was that? He put some program together where I coached the Indiana All-Star girls and he coached the Indiana All-Star boys. And we got to take a couple of Mississinawa 8th graders with us.
Yeah.
Because they counters, they were called. So how fun was that? I mean, that was a great experience just because this little round ball. That was awesome. And then with education, I've been to China a few times. That was a couple of interesting things. Been to Israel a couple of times. I've gotten to see some places. I've been down in Thailand and Burma. I've had a couple of things just because of education that's gotten me to see some places in the world that I would have never gotten to see any other way.
Yep.
So very, very blessed there. Very blessed. And, talking about Austin and Aaron, Nate's the only one that chose not to. After Nate finished with Dr. Tom at Drake, he was like, I want nothing else to do with it. I want to play another game of basketball. But Austin and Aaron both played a league or two overseas. Aaron played in China for a little bit and Australia. And then Austin was in Portugal and Spain for a couple of weeks. So they had that experience at that pro level stop. Both of them were like, this is all right, but I think we're done. I'm done with this. So the boys have had a good opportunity too, and I'm proud to say that I had something to do with that. I kind of helped them in that position to do that. So so I've been blessed, very blessed.
It sounds like the grandkids are going to get those experiences as well.
I think so too. I mean, I don't think they can help it. I don't think they can help it. The little guy today, the little fourth grader today, after he finished that third game, first thing he did was come over to me because I keep the scorebook. I always go home, just keep the scorebook. I keep the scorebook. And he says it to me after every game. How do you think I played, Papa? How do you think I played? It's like, you did great. You did great. Yep. And a couple of weeks ago, he said, Papa, are you going to watch me play college? And I said, of course I'm going to watch it. Then I started adding the numbers up in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, you just turned 10 years old. I'll be 75 years old, son.
Well, hey, but you're still young
planning
and
on being,
healthy.
I'm planning on being there. Yeah, and I do believe that's a good point. I do believe that that's very important. And you know that you've probably seen some of the things on Facebook too. I'm always posting about health.
Yep.
I mean, uh, I'm a Bobby Kennedy fan, and I love that he is going to focus on all this health and finally straighten out some of the industry that is a mess. They have poisoned for years and years and years. You know, and I've been involved in a couple of different, I don't want to say diet plans, but diet plans. This one called Optavia. Optavia. Looks like Octavia, but Optavia. Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably heard it's gotten pretty popular. I know some folks down there in that area that are coaching that and helping, you know, men and women alike with it. And my wife's still real big in it since she retired from counseling, which was a counselor for a number of years, and retired a couple of years ago. Now that's her whole primary business, is just helping people with their diet and nutrition life and exercise life. But I've been preaching that for a long time. I've been anti-American food.
Oh man.
There was a guy who was showing the difference between Fruit Loops in Canada and Fruit Loops here.
Yeah.
All
that red 40 and
everything we eat is poisoned. Right. I mean, unless you're going totally organic.
I'm a huge fan of RFK Jr.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was telling Ted, you know, when they were before even election day, I'm like, man, this guy needs to get on the ballot in every state.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. But again, you go back to that politics stuff, man. These guys were determined. They were running him out of the Democratic Party. They're doing everything they could to squash him as an independent. And so he just jumped over to the Trump bandwagon and said, I'm going to ride your train.
Well, that's the thing.
A lot of people said, I'm following Kennedy on this.
Right. The Democratic Party has changed so much.
Yes.
He was an old school Democrat. He wasn't whatever.
Was too. Donald Trump was an old school Democrat.
Yeah.
It's so funny because he's got all these old school Democrats are now over here running the Republican Party, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm probably the most liberal conservative you'll ever meet. Because I have always said, and I've voted both ways over all these years. I've been doing this since my goodness, Jimmy Carter days. And I always looked at who was going to keep money in my pocket more than anything. Who is going to put policy on the table that's going to support me and my family's values. You know, that's who I'm going with. So I've kind of gone back and forth, and I've gotten disappointed a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, but that's always kind of been my whole look at it all. Is, you know, I'm going with whoever I can trust to put a policy in place that's going to support me and my family.
And that's how Americans should be. You should be fluid.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just say I'm going to be a Democrat for the rest of my life, or I'm going to be a Republican for. You should vote.
Conrad, so many people like that though. And those ones that I probably spend more time teasing and giving a hard time to. I don't care which side of the aisle they're on.
The lifetime commitment is
the thing. Yeah. And you know, the thing that gets me and bothers me, going back to conspiracies, I don't think it is media. The media spend most of their day trying to divide us. Yep. They spend most of the day trying to get. I have friends of all kinds of races and colors and, you know, persuasions of sexual. I don't care. I just don't want everything thrown in my face all the time. All of us just want to live our lives without the media trying to tell us how we should be living our lives.
Exactly.
And as technology keeps advancing, it's in our lap 24/7.
That goes back to social media you're talking about.
Yeah, big time.
It's just big time. But I'll tell you what, the mainstream media is they're taking a big hit right now.
Yes, they are.
BBC and CNN and these guys, they're finding out what it's like to have people just completely not just tune them up, but shut them off.
Yeah.
They've lost credibility.
Yep.
Have no credibility. People aren't stupid. I don't care if they are just, you know, dogmatic in this certain political stance, but pretty soon you have to look at it and go, You know, those guys have lied to me enough now. I'm done to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Hey, Coach, let me ask you a couple questions.
yeah.
This is coaching wise.
Okay,
Okay.
Ooh.
all right,
Say
all
it,
right.
say it, a parent comes to you and they've got a son or a daughter they're really, really a good basketball player. Are you going to tell these people that you need to play multi sports?
Well, you know what? I'm a big believer in multi-sports. You want to know the truth?
Okay.
Because I'm looking for competitors.
Mm-hmm.
I want guys or gals, doesn't matter to me. I want them to learn to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if they want to go play football as basketball players or basketball players as football players or, volleyball players as girls basketball players or softball players. I want you to compete.
Yep.
Now we live in a society, live in a time today where that if you want to make it in any one sport, unfortunately, you almost have to become a one sporter. You
Mm-hmm.
reach a point to where you have to. My boys all did. They all played a little minor sport on the side, you
Right.
know. And Nathan went on to play some soccer at Lake Central, but basketball was mainly it. He didn't do anything,
Right.
got in the way. Aaron become a phenomenal track. Phil, he was a 7 foot high jumper. Aaron's a freak.
Man.
He's high jumping 6'10", 6'11" on a regular basis. Just a freak athlete, you know. And track came his extra thing right there. And then Austin was strictly basketball. He really didn't pay much attention to anything else. But that reached that point. They all played soccer, at younger ages and baseball. Nathan was actually a pretty good baseball player. I like to see him kind of stay in that, but you just can't.
Right.
If you want to focus on that sport. But I tell all the parents, and this is something again, this is another thing that along this line of this question, when I started teaching at Cypress Creek High School there in Houston, they started their first soccer program while I was there. And the soccer coach that they brought in, and I love the principal story. Joe Shelton was the principal at that time. And Joe telling me the story about whenever Dimitri Oltin came in from Romania. Said Dimitri walked into his office with a cutout of the newspaper, an ad that the school corporation had put in the paper looking for a soccer coach. Said Dimitri comes in and goes, "Hi, soccer coach." And Joe said, I looked at him and said, "What are you talking about?" "Hi, national hero, Romania." What? Sure enough, this guy was the Olympic coach, won the Olympics. Romanians
Wow.
defected from Romania right after that, climbed out of a bathroom window at a mall in New York City where the gymnastic coach, he just died. The Romanian
Crowley.
yeah,
Crowley.
had helped him escape out of a bathroom window.
Oh
And
man.
what a story. So here's Dimitri. Just hilarious. But this is when Nate was 4 years old, maybe 5 years old, something like that. And I just, I taught, we were co-PE teachers, what we were. We were co-PE teachers.
Right.
Asked Dimitri one day, I said, I got a boy. He's probably going to be a pretty good athlete, I'm going to guess. I mean, what would you say I should probably get him started doing right now? "Oh, soccer." I'm like, "Soccer?" I said, you're in America now. We don't do that. That was probably the best advice he gave me, because soccer does have a way with those young kids, just teaching them spacing and awareness and spatial awareness and all of it, and a lot of running and
Yep.
and coaching ability. So I tell parents all the time that if you got a young one, you want to get them started in something, soccer is the best thing I can think of to start them in at the earliest age that they can get into. That's fun. They'll have a good time with it. They'll make friends. They'll learn some skills, and then take it from there after that. But going back to your question though, I am a multi-sport preacher. I just believe in teach, and again, only because I want you to learn to compete.
Yep.
I want you to compete. I don't. You're going to reach a point, as my boys did, and a lot of people where they have to go strictly one sport athletes, or they're not going to reach their goal if that's what they want to do.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's the day we live in. There's no more Danny out there.
Right. Right. That's true, and that's what, because I love you said the word compete, because we've been preaching that to the boys at the junior high this year.
Right.
But yeah, you can work hard, but show us that you can compete. You work hard on your shot in the off season, but can you compete against five other players?
Yep. Yeah. Are you coachable?
Yes.
And will you compete? Will you get out there and do it? Actually, I am working on. I don't know if I have it in here or not. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. It should be right there. I'm actually working on a little book where I take the word champions, and for each letter, I'm talking about why this is an important trait that you should do. I've got it on the screen here somewhere if I can find it. See if it'll pop up there. That's not going to be it either. But is that it? It's probably this Google Docs thing. Oh, there it is. All right, I found it. Okay, but I do started off with a comment kind of along that line where it says that according to the National Federation of State High School Association, approximately only 3.4% of high school basketball players go on to play at the collegiate level.
Right.
This is something I want your parents do understand, because I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
3.4% go on, including at all levels. Only 1.2% of men's basketball players at the NCAA levels are eventually even drafted by the NBA or any other professional organization in that regard. So becoming a standout basketball player takes a lot of time, takes a lot of dedication. Let me get down here to the character traits. For C, it was courage. Courage.
Okay.
I say courage is the first habit of champions because it's essential for youth basketball players who want to reach that full potential. They have to have the ability to face fear, uncertainty, discomfort. It takes courage right off the bat. So C is for courage. When I finish this, I'll send you guys a copy of it.
Okay.
And then H is for you. H is for humility, and character trait humility. Just basically means coachability. I mean, are you coachable? Are you coachable? Can you take instruction? Can you take it in the proper vein? I mean, can you handle it? Can you handle it the way it's intended for it to be done, to be provided to you? And then the third one I said for the A was authenticity, a crucial habit for young players because it involves being true to oneself and embracing one's unique qualities and strengths as a player. You got to be authentic. You got to be real about who you are and what you're capable of doing, and you got to face that head on and realize that some things you're going to want aren't just going to come to you. You're going to
exactly,
and sometimes it's just not going to work out. But you got to be authentic about it, and then that goes to the fourth one, which is the M is mindset. You got to have that proper mindset. You got to have that growth mindset. You got to have that mindset of not being closed to, hey, I've learned all I need to know right now. And I think it was John Wooden that said that it's what you learn after you know it all that counts the most.
Right. True.
Really, that's the mindset you got to have. I don't care what you want to be a basketball player, baseball
player.
I
like that.
Anything.
It's what you know it all that's going to count the most. That mindset. Then the fifth one that I was working on is poise. Poise. That's something you talk with your kids all the time, I'm sure, about. Guys, hey, you're going to get trapped in that corner. Can you handle that trap? Are you poised enough to be able to take on this challenge, and not lose your mind here, not start throwing the ball all kinds of sideways and all kinds of things. And of course, it covers more than just that, because all of this goes in deeper into life in general.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
These are all life skills. I'm applying them through basketball lens, but these are all life skills. And then the sixth one with the I is initiative, so important. You can't be there for your kids all the time to go out and work on the things they need to be working on.
Right.
They got to take the initiative. It's a big 50-cent word. It just means what you need to be doing, whether it's in a classroom, whether it's around the house for mom and dad, whether it's with a basketball. You've got to take the initiative to go do the right thing and get it done. and make sure it happens. So then that's a whole chapter on that. That's a lot on that one. And then the seventh one is obedience. And obedience for young guys and girls too means you're dependable, you're reliable, you're always been willing to go the extra mile for the good of the team, for the good of the cause. You're obedient to the good moral stance, a good route that you should be going to. You know what it is, you obey, and you go do it. Being true to yourself really kind of comes out of that one too. And then I like the nobility for the end. Now, this is one that I struggled with. I was like, what would be a good end life lesson for a basketball player? And nobility. It involves recognizing that true greatness is not about being superior to others. It's about being the best version of yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
Got to be, you're competing against yourself. You're trying to do the most you can to be the best that you can be in any given situation, whether it's basketball or classroom or, whatever it is, your relationship with your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. Mm-hmm. You have got to be of noble stance. You've got to know who you are nobly and make sure that you're staying focused on doing those things that are going to make you better. Don't look at the other guy. It's nice to realize how good that one is. My granddaughter came up against a girl from Penn last night. That girl, she was only 5'4", but she was a dynamo, man. She could flat out just shoot the ball, and she just, and my granddaughter after the game was kind of like, wow, I wish I had the speed that she had and the strength that she had. I said, look, your game is not exactly her game. You've got good speed. You've got some good strength, but you remember she's 18. You just turned 14.
Right.
Yeah. You got time to get to that. So you just be noble all in your own right here and know who you are and continue to focus on how you're going to be the best version of you. And then the ninth one, of course, for S, the champions is sacrifice. Sacrifice. This is the one that the kids miss today, probably more than anything whenever I talk to parents. What are they giving up? Because there's nothing you can get without giving up something. I don't care where you're at in life, whatever it is. Yep. If you want that new car, you're going to have to give up some money. If you want that new truck, you've got to trade something. So if you're going to tell me that you want to be the best version of yourself nobly as a basketball player, and you're going to take the initiative to get there, then you're going to sacrifice something. Mm-hmm. Something is going to be traded for that.
It's a value exchange.
It's a value exchange. That's exactly right. It's a value exchange. What are you going to exchange? You're going to sacrifice something here. So you've got to be willing to sacrifice. So that's my champions booklet. And that actually comes from my high school coach. He would give that out every basketball season. He would give out this booklet called Champions. He didn't have the exact same ones that I have listed here. But courage was the first one he started with, and sacrifice he ended with. I know that for a fact.
That's great.
I just took what he had done, and I just kind of built on it to kind of write this little pamphlet here. So it's about done. My grandson, he bugs me every time he sees me.
Well, I'm gonna need a copy of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
My goal has been to finish that at Christmas, so hopefully I get this done here around Christmas time sometime.
That's awesome. Now, I do have one more question.
All right.
We ask this of every basketball coach.
It's a good question. It's real good.
Whether they coach boys or girls, and we've had almost all of them from Grant County on in the last couple of years. But we like this question. We've had different responses to it. So, okay, you're coaching, you're down 12, 15 points in the first half. You make a couple changes. 2 or 3 subs come in. They get you back in the game. At halftime, you're tied. Who's coming out on the floor in the third quarter? Starters or the people who got you back in the game?
I am not an equal opportunity coach. You guys probably remember one of my speeches all the time. This is not about equal opportunity. I mean, you felt good about your play. I didn't. I feel good about the guys who just got the job done. I'm coming back with the guys who got the job done. And a lot of times, again, we go back to some of the parents. I've had issues with parents over the years and such. And they say, but my son started, but you didn't start in the third quarter. Well, you know what? Nothing against your son personally.
Right.
But Johnny here was dynamite that last 4 minutes of the second quarter. Yeah. I think he deserves the next start to get this thing going again now. Yep. And but it was not about equal opportunity. It was about who's getting the job done.
Yeah.
Who's getting the job done. And I've always felt that way about it. And you may remember this, Conrad. I don't know. I know that guys like Simpkins, I know, knows it for a fact, and some of the other guys was always taught responsibility. And as far as offense went, was rhythm and range, rhythm and range. And I'm going to determine what your range is based upon the times that you're going to shoot a basketball from that spot you think you can shoot from. Ryan, you think you're a 3-point shooter from that corner? Well, with nobody guarding you, when you can hit 6 out of 10 from that spot, we'll talk about that in your range. Until then, you step in a full step, yep, and you show me you can hit 6 out of 10 from that spot, and I'll call that your range. Oh, but coach, I was feeling it. Well, now if you're in rhythm,
I feel it every day, coach.
Yeah, and if you're in range and not in rhythm, we got a problem. Yeah. But that goes back. I'm not an equal opportunity guy. We're just not going to do it. There's not enough time. The possessions are too precious as far as I was as a coach, that if it's a 32-minute game, I've got to come up with some way to make sure that we are taking advantage of the situation in every possession to the best of our possession. And not just because, hey, coach, I was feeling it, man. Yeah, fill this bench like Bobby Knight said. Let's see how that wood feels.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, butt meets bench rule here.
I feel like it was night and day, no pun intended, night and day when coaching styles had to change. And now they've changed even more. I hear all the time about people complaining, hey, you should hear the way these kids talk to their coach in practice.
Right.
And I'm when they say, hey, grandma, stop clutching your pearls. When they tell me what these kids say, I'm like,
I know.
I would never have talked to my coach that way.
No,
ever.
No, I would, me, I couldn't handle that. I could not do that. I told my wife that very thing that, watching, we played a good pin team last night. My granddaughter did everything she could. We were in situations where we did some really stupid things. And again, goes back to my rule. This isn't an equal opportunity offense, guys. I don't care how you were feeling it. You weren't feeling the thing I was feeling. And, I'm not going to stand for it. But my other line along that line of coaching, kind of in that vein of that question, was what you practice is what you play. How you practice, you play. I don't care what you do. It's what you demand.
Yeah.
Teams run great zone defenses, and I've seen teams run the same 2-3, 1-3-1, whatever, and it is the worst, ugliest thing you ever saw. It makes no sense. But I've seen the ones who demand it done this way in practice. So when it transfers over to the game, there's no questions. Those kids they're on cue. They're on cue.
Yeah.
And you probably remember I used to run that Zorro 1-2-2 matchup. And our guys just gave teams fits. Good ball clubs would come in there and just say, my God, it's like you got 10 guys on the floor. Yeah, that's what I demand. I want to feel like there's 10 guys on the floor. And it was very demanding. But you're going to play what you practice. And I can tell when I watch these teams exactly what their practice must look like. And a lot of it goes back to the social media thing we were talking about. Pretty soon I'm reading these things, comments from these teams around the area. Moms on there blasting the coach because their little girl chance to play so well in the first quarter, never got back in the game. Oh, come on. Now I say I'm not that way. I wouldn't laugh. They'd fire me. My demands are too high.
Yeah, and that's it's just what you said. You're going to play the game how you practice. Yep. That's like I try to tell these kids all the time. I said, how many of your parents have told you practice makes perfect? And they all raise their hands. I said, they're lying to you. And they're like, huh? And I said, no, perfect practice makes perfect.
That's exactly right. Perfect practice. And, you may remember this too. I don't remember if you were ever around any or not, Conrad, but I never ran at the end of practice. We just didn't do it. I didn't believe in it. I felt our practices needed to be so intense and just so, constantly in transition practice because
Yeah.
we had a different press at the end of a made free throw, different press at a missed free throw, a different press on a made three, a different press on a made two, different press on a missed basket. I mean, we were running into something, but it was always, I believed in the old Arkansas coach and the old Kentucky style there. Just
Yeah.
no free thinking time. We're coming at you and we're jumping you and we're running you. We're putting you under extreme pressure all the time. And that takes a very disciplined team that's in very good condition, very good shape. And if we went through a practice that we did that in, we weren't going to run because I would always ask the guys, are we the hardest working team in the county? Did you feel that tonight was that we were actually the hardest working team in the county? And it was so odd. Guys like Chance Young, Pete Watson, Jamie, these guys, they'd tell you the honest truth. They'd look at you and just say, I don't think so, coach, not tonight. All right, so
Wow.
hey, get on the line.
Yeah.
Get on the line. Do a couple suicides for it.
I like it.
Shape. And I thought that was probably, I don't know where I picked that up, some coach somewhere. But I thought, you know what? We're wasting a whole lot of time just running at the end of practice that we could be learning basketball skills.
Yeah, that's I like it. That's we'll start asking my boys that question in practice every day.
Yeah. But,
hey, coach, I got a trivia question for you.
Oh boy.
Who was the first high school player to enter the NBA draft?
Out of Indiana? Or are you talking about
the first ever? Yeah, all across the country.
First ever, as far as I know, was Moses Malone in 1976. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you had Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
I used to play a lot with Moses.
I knew you'd get that one right.
I had to stop and think for a minute. Was there somebody before him? I don't think so.
Coach.
But no, people have no idea how big that guy was. My God, he was a small tree.
Yeah. I never seen him in person, but man, just watch him on TV. Is like, and you know what? You remember
I caught the tail end of it.
You remember Daryl Dawkins?
Yeah, I do.
Did you see his son plays for Penn State?
No.
He showed him on the sideline last night.
Yep. He is. You know, that's this college basketball thing. Now that you bring that up, I mean, I can't keep up. I don't know who's on whose team anymore. Yeah. I'm trying to watch some of these games. I'm like, wait a minute, where'd that kid come from? Oh, he's a 6-year senior, 25 years old.
All right. I don't like this whole NIL deal. These kids just going wherever the money's at.
It's the chance to get paid. It's the world we live in now.
Yep.
That's the world we're in.
It's the world we're in.
It really is.
Coach,
colleges are making money hand over fist.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much.
Yep.
Time is precious, and you took time to hang out with us. If you're ever around Gas City, well, come by the garage.
I will, man. I love it. I'm so proud of you both for doing what you do. I mean, how cool is this to have a podcast, be able to talk to people about, all kinds.
Oh, yeah.
That is really cool. Really, really cool. I appreciate you letting me come in and hang out for a while. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very much appreciated you did this for us. And
yes.
Like I said, you had Conrad in class, but my son, my oldest son was actually in junior high when you were coaching there.
You had Rocky, right?
Yep, Rocky. Yep.
I remember Rocky real well. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried real hard to play basketball, but my heart was bigger than my height.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, and unfortunately, you had me as that head coach. There's no equal opportunity.
He's still running, coach. You never came back.
In my mind, I'm running to the dinner table.
But like Conrad said, if you're ever around, get a hold of us, and man, we'll set this up and we'll do it.
Fantastic. Yeah, we will. We will have to grab some of the other older guys there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all characters.
They're
all still around.
We haven't had the Simpkins boys on yet. They're wanting to come on, but Conrad hadn't gave them the yes yet.
Yeah, you need to get Mark will entertain you for sure, Brian.
Eric Skeens is part of our review crew. We do food reviews as well. He's a very particular man when it comes to his food.
Eric Skeens was another one of those guys that just great coachability, humility. He was just amazing because he was willing to do whatever I asked him to do. And he turned into a really good basketball player. Really good basketball we'd throw that alley oop out of bounds play to him, and he would dunk it, and the coach would look at me, and I'd say, "Oh yeah, yeah, he can get it, he can do it." Yeah, so no, what a great kid.
Yeah.
And like I said, Coach, anytime you reach out to us, stop by the garage.
Yeah.
We got a whole refrigerator full of cold ones.
Do you really? Okay, I heard you
Oh
said
yeah.
something. I listened to a couple of podcasts back, and you're talking about the cold mountains, and I thought, I know what they got in that refrigerator.
Yeah. Yeah, those cold rocky blues, man.
Yeah. We're gonna now, Coach. This will be out on YouTube this coming Thursday. This podcast will.
Yeah, the audio will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on Friday.
But yeah, it'll be on YouTube Thursday.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's too much you have to clean up. I think it was pretty cool.
No.
You
can say whatever you want, man. We had Laura Steele, classic rock DJ out of Indianapolis, and she had us bleep out the F word for her. I said, this is the internet. You can say whatever you please.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You have a great time. You have a great.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
See you guys. Love you.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye.